Hello, gorgeous humans. So nice to have you back. It's so nice to be back. I feel like this last week in particular has just been challenging in terms of energy levels and in terms of just, that feeling when you feel like you're getting sick, but you're like on the verge of getting sick and you're trying to make sure that you get enough sleep and nutrition and everything to not get sick. And I feel like I've just been walking that knife edge and not falling off either side for the last week or so. But I'm so happy to be recording some more episodes. And this one in particular, I think I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys about just what does the diploma entail? What is your daily routine? Like, what do you do? How do you train this much? How do you eat? When do you wake up? Like, how do you feel? What is the training like? Like, what are you actually doing? So this episode is just going to be for all of you that just want a real sneak peek into what a day in the life is of studying a diploma of an ancient martial art and training intensively. So 5 hours a day, Monday to Friday, and on the weekends it's normally 2 hours in the morning and with no days off and just full gas training for 2 years. So this is my life now, and I feel like I'm changing as a person, which is so interesting. I'll go into all of these things. So in the morning, my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock. I wake up immediately. I don't believe in snoozing my alarm. I never have. I just think that just even from like an attitude perspective, like putting off waking up to the day is just not the kind of energy that I feel brings amazing things into my day. So even though it's early, I wake up when my alarm goes off and then I get out of bed. I go to the kitchen and I prepare my supplements, and all of these things are like little, I had to like adjust here and there. So I take my supplements first thing before I do my meditation, because if I have them after the meditation, then it's too much liquid that I'm having, and then I need to go to the toilet in the class, which you can't leave the pit once you're in the pit. So I've had to adjust this. So I go to the kitchen, I have my supplements in the morning, which there's quite a few different ones that I'm having at the moment. The main ones I would say that have a big impact are creatine, magnesium, and what else do I take? L-theanine, and turmeric, and then a few like women's health herbs as well, which is nice. So I have that, I prepare that, and then I go back to my room and do a 20-minute meditation I've been doing. I went to some lectures here when we had the festival of Tantrotsav about this very specific type of Kaula Tantra. And because the theme of this year for Tantrotsav was Kupchika, this is a whole other tangent that I could go down, so I'm very briefly overcapping it. Kupchika is a form of the goddess, of the supreme goddess of Kali, is the goddess of Kalari, actually. I can't go into all of these things because I don't understand them well enough to even describe them to you. Maybe I should do a whole episode on this and like do some more research. But Kupchika was the theme of this year. Each year, the guru of the school picks a different god or goddess from Hindu religion, and then that's the theme for the year. Last year was Chinnamasta, which is a very fierce form of Kali or Durga, which she cut off her own head, and then anyway, so last year was the theme of like the head, the ego, the crown. This year the theme is Kupchika, which is the root chakra, turning everything in, not pulling energy up, but containing energy inside and generating a lot of energy from there. And Kupchika is the goddess of Kundalini Shakti, which is, of course, there's a lot of like very random weird things online about Kundalini, but it is just this like moving energy up the spine, basically, which is the whole point of Kalari. So I learned a very specific type of meditation mantra from one of these lectures. So I've been doing that in the mornings just to keep consistency. And I thought, I'm doing the Kalari diploma for 2 years. So it is cool to like have a specific meditation that goes along with the Kalari practice. So that's my morning meditation. And I've been chanting it out loud as I go. I just put like a background, like calm music, and then do the chant. There's like 5 points going up and then 5 points going down, and it's kind of this cycle of like breathing energy into the spine and moving it up and down. That's my morning meditation. Then I get out of bed. From that, I sit in bed, of course, And then I come back out to the kitchen and I make my coffee, which is a nice part of the morning. Although I'm cutting back on coffee and I'm trying to go back to no coffee. So I make a Turkish coffee in my very cute little gold Turkish coffee pot. And I put 3 scoops of coffee in it, 1 scoop of like caffeinated coffee and 2 scoops of decaf in the morning. And I'm cutting down to, soon I'll cut down to half a teaspoon and then down to no coffee. Because I also really want to be just feeling my own energy levels and feeling less reactive, feeling less like agitated, I guess is the feeling. Coffee is makes you very alert, but very, almost too alert it makes me, I think. And I need less of that at the moment. So I put my coffee on, which takes 15 minutes to brew on the stove. And then I do different things each morning, actually, depending on my mood of the day. Sometimes I will do, in that 15 minutes, I will do like a core workout or some stretching or something like that. If my body really feels like it needs a little bit of extra warming up from before the class. The last few days I've been doing just some journaling in the morning, just exploring things that are coming up for me, exploring things that, I would say just the practice of Kalari moves a lot of energy through the system. So of course there's like different things that come up, different interactions with different people, different things with my own self, different things that I find myself being very reactive to. So I've just been trying to be like very aware of these things and then processing them as they come up. Sometimes I type them into ChatGPT, sometimes I write them down in a notebook, and just going with the flow of the morning, actually, which is somewhat out of character for me, but I feel like because the rest of the diploma is very regimented, it has been quite nice to just have that morning time before my coffee to just see what I feel like doing. And then I have my coffee and before I have my coffee, I have half a boiled egg and I save the other half to have a little bit later. So I have half of a boiled egg and then I make these amazing energy balls. They're full of like, I love them so much, it's so good. They have dates, chia seeds, oats, puffed amaranth, which is a grain, desiccated coconut, honey, cacao, cinnamon, nutmeg. What else do they have? Yeah, I think that's about it. And like toasted red rice flakes, poha. And then I mix them all together. I make them into balls. And then so I eat 3 of those with my coffee. And that's one half of boiled egg, and those 3 is enough to fuel my morning class without me feeling too full, because I also don't enjoy the sensation of training feeling full. So I have my coffee and I have those, which is nice. It's such a nice part of the morning. And I have my pink lights on, of course, my lamp, it's pitch black in the morning. And then I get ready for training. So I get dressed, I apply some oil or tiger balm on my back, my glutes, my hamstrings, parts of my body that feel a bit stiff and sore, which is honestly just my reality, being stiff and sore and tired. I didn't realize how all-pervasive this would be. Like I get out of bed in the morning and I'm just like, oh. So I get dressed for class, I get ready for class, and then we go to class. And then class starts, the first morning class is from 6 till 7 and it's a group class. Anybody can attend. You could come to Oroville tomorrow and come to that class if you wanted to. Our teacher Apu takes that class, and then it's kind of like just everybody of all mixed levels, more advanced students, people who it's their first time, people who have been a few times. So she kind of runs the class accordingly to that. There's always exactly the same warm-up that goes for about 20 minutes. There's some chanting. Then there's all of the basic stances. And then we normally go through the 8 animal postures and the 4 basic leg swings. And then she will break the class into like the people that do the advanced sequence and the people that are newer to the practice. And then she kind of rotates between us and we do that. So that class goes for an hour, and that's essentially the warm-up. That used to be when I would come to do Kalari, that used to be like just morning class, but now it's like just a warm-up. So then we finish that class, which it's normally very intensive in the morning actually. And the day to day just feels so different. Like yesterday I felt so good in the morning, and I'd had acupuncture the previous afternoon, and she did a lot of needles in my glutes, in my back, in my hamstrings. So the next morning I just felt so like light and flexible and like just everything was moving very nicely. My leg swings were like super nice and like flowing. But this morning was the complete opposite. Everything feels stuck. My lumbar spine just feels like compressed, stuck. And my glutes are sore, my hamstrings are sore. So it's, what's the saying? Like swings and roundabouts or something? Anyway, some days are really good. Some days are not that good. Yesterday, I thought I was going to have a terrible day because something woke me up at 1 o'clock in the morning and I just couldn't go back to sleep. And then at 2 o'clock, I got out of bed because I was like, I'm not going to lay here all night. So I got out of bed and just started my day at that time, which is unusual, thankfully. And I was like, oh, this is going to be an awful day in class. But actually, I felt quite good in the class. And then today, I had a good night's sleep last night, but today's a struggle. So we have 1 hour of that class in the morning, and then we have 2 hours of long stick training. So we normally just very quickly prepare the other pit. So we sweep the pit, put the flowers on the shrines, make sure everything's clean, light the incense, and then we start long stick training. The first part of long stick training is all, I don't remember the name for it, but it's all of this like, I have a few videos on my social media actually of this. I want to put a lot more, but it's basically these ones where you're like swinging it's not sparring, just you, like moving the stick in different ways. So there's like a lot of patterns that they've shown us where you like take it in front and behind, and then in front of you, and then behind your head, and then around, and like spinning from one hand to another, other hand to another, like spinning your body and around, like spinning in front and behind, and like right and left. And then there's a specific sequence, like a performance sequence that we all are supposed to do in a synchronized way, which it's often not very synchronized yet. And there's about 8 of us in the diploma at the moment. Not everybody comes to all of the classes, so there's different amount of people in classes depending on that. But yeah, it's a nice group of people, a nice mix of boys and girls, a nice mix of foreign people and Indian people, which is amazing. So the first maybe quarter of the class is that, which is also really nice actually. It's like so good for warming up your wrists. It warms up your elbows, it warms up your shoulders because there's a lot of like forward and backward movement like this. And it makes sense actually that we do this before the sparring because it just makes all of the joints awake, alive, ready for your wrists to like move with the stick and like your shoulders, and it does feel really good actually, which is it's fascinating. Like, of course, all of these things make sense. Like, of course, it would be in that sequence so that you are warm. But it is, I don't know. Sometimes I feel surprised by that thing, but it makes sense. Then we start the sparring sequence. So first there is the salutation of the long stick. So first we do the salutation. You put the stick on the ground facing your sparring partner. There's a specific salutation that you do with specific moves. There's like kind of a bowing, then you like pick up the stick and you do the first hit to each other, then you go back, then you do another hit. I really want to start actually sparring and filming this for you guys because it's not allowed to film in the pit, obviously, which I love. But it means that then you have to do extra training outside of training to be able to film anything. And none of us have the energy levels to do this yet. So it's coming, but it's coming slowly. And then, so yeah, from there we start that. We do, actually before we start the sparring, we each do, like half of the people go to one side of the pit and half of the people go to the other. And then we do these things just on our own. So all the sparring sequence is almost like choreographed. And then we learn it in segments. So we each do, one side of the pit does that part of the segment, then the other part of the pit does it. And we also learn to say the Vaitari along with it, which is the voice commands for the practice, which is in Malayalam, which is the Indian dialect that obviously I don't speak. And it's so difficult for me to learn these words because they don't mean anything to me, they're just sounds. And a lot of the sounds now, of course, I like associate with a very instinctive just bodily reaction, body movement, because I've heard them over and over and over again in the last years of training. But there's different ones for the sticks training, and we have to learn them so that when we spar, we can say the teacher's side when we're sparring the teacher's side. So that's been very challenging, but also kind of fun. And I'm definitely not saying any of them correctly. I just make up what it sounds like in my mind. Then that takes up about like maybe another half of the class, if the class was split into quarters, to practice all of those. And then often we will learn a new segment at the end of that. So yesterday we learned a new segment, and then today we practiced that new segment. And then we split into sparring partners. Sometimes each of us spars one at a time with the teacher, and she will correct specific things for us. Sometimes, and more now, we get to like pair up in different pairs and then spar together. So there's a sequence of the salutation, then there's the next sequence after that, and then you swap sides. So one time you'll spar as the teacher, and one time you'll spar as the student. And that takes us to the end of the class, which will be then 9 o'clock. In between the beginner class, the morning class, the warm-up class, and the sticks training, I have another one of these like energy balls that I make, and the other half of my boiled egg, which then gives me enough energy to do that next bit of training, but also still not be too full. Sometimes I have a banana, but normally I have half a boiled egg and one of my energy balls. That takes us to 9 o'clock. That means we finished training, finished for the morning. So I come home, I make a protein shake, I make my breakfast, which has been normally banana pancakes, which I make with 3 eggs, some banana. I put oats and chia seeds and amaranth. I make a big pancake. I make a decaf coffee, my coffee here. Eat breakfast. And that also takes a while to make all of that stuff. And then different things happen depending on the day in the day. We have then, and from 9 until the next class starts at 4. So yeah, there's a lot of different things I do. At the moment I have some friends in town, so sometimes I meet some friends. Sometimes I have client calls, or I'm just speaking with my clients. Sometimes I'm doing just creating social media content or that kind of thing as well. Sometimes I'm reading or like doing extra research. So I'm like cleaning my house, sweeping the driveway, which is always a mess. There's like always things to be doing around the house. Going into town to get groceries because I'm eating so much food. I'm just hungry all of the time. Preparing food, like boiling eggs, making the snack balls, all of that kind of thing. I then also make lunch and eat lunch. Often I make like a big salad for lunch and I have more boiled eggs. I have chickpeas in it. Sometimes I have rice in it. Sometimes I go out for coffee and meet a friend. Sometimes I have acupuncture in the afternoon, which has been honestly like extremely supportive, like extremely beautiful supportive practice. Although it is hard to do more training in the afternoon after having acupuncture. Somehow those hours just disappear. Like by the time I get back here from the Kalari place, it's already normally at least 9:15. By the time I finish having breakfast, it's 10. By then, at the time I do my work or my client things or cleaning and all of those things, it's time to then like make lunch and eat lunch. It takes like 15-20 minutes to drive into town to go to get groceries or to do any of those things. I don't know where the time disappears to, honestly. And then of course, like I need, it's like, this is something completely new to me. I need to rest. So yeah, when I have my lunch, I go on my rooftop normally and I just lay in the sun and I'm reading, and just like sometimes I fall asleep, which is so unusual for me. I haven't napped in the day since I was in uni. But sometimes my body just like shuts down so that I can sleep. And then we go back in the afternoon for more training. So 4 till 5 is short stick training. My other fuel in the day, actually, like normally I make a very big protein shake in the morning with 2 scoops of, I make a mix of half pea protein and half rice protein, because I'm vegetarian. And then I put 2 scoops in the smoothie and I make a big smoothie, and I have half at breakfast time and I save half for like after lunch. So I'll eat like a big salad lunch. I sometimes make chia seeds if I'm still hungry. I have my protein shake. Now I feel like I've got quite a good balance of what I'm eating, which is nice, because the first month maybe I was just starving all of the time. Now I feel good, and actually adding more protein made a big difference. So I think on average I would eat like maybe 5 eggs a day now. I have at least maybe 5 teaspoons of chia seeds, 2 two scoops of protein powder. I have like hemp seed powder as well. That has made a big difference to my energy and my recovery, I would say. Then we go back to class 4 till 5 is short stick training, which is also so fun. And it's the same concept, like we learn different sequence. That the short stick training doesn't really have its own like individual doing tricks kind of thing. The only thing to do is like twirling the stick forward with your wrist and twirling it backwards. But we learn, of course, like a salutation to each other, and then all of these different segments, which we again practice like half one side and half the other, alternating for half of the time. And then we pair up again or go one-on-one with the teacher to do short stick sparring. It's so fun. The sparring is so fun. And it is like obviously choreographed now, but I really hope that we actually get to do, like obviously once we become more proficient and more advanced, that we actually get to do more actual fighting where it's not a sequence where you know what's coming next, but more like unpredictable moves. But obviously we need to do a lot more training before those reflexes are natural and come naturally. So that's short stick training, 4 till 5. All of the sticks training as well is like extremely low to the ground. So it's called in the Kalari practice, amadna, which means go down, and then, or like sit. And so there's a long stance and a short stance. The long stance is basically like an extremely long, low lunge with a very straight back leg, a lot of like force through your back leg, your back foot fully on the floor. And the short stance is like both legs bent and then your upper body kind of up and your spine horizontal. And then you're doing the stick from there. It is so intensive on the legs. Like you cannot imagine how painful it is. And I didn't expect it. Sometimes we do like 2 rounds of one short stick sequence, which must take, I think, not longer than 2 minutes. And it's just so excruciating, which is absurd to think about. And it's all these things, like I wish I had the energy to even like just train it more here at home, or like buy some ankle weights and do it more here so that I get better at it, so that I can do it better in class. But I just don't have the energy, which is such a new, bizarre thing for me. And I don't love it. But actually I was thinking to myself, if I had to make an educated guess about when I will be much more adapted and like kind of return to my energy levels of having much more energy, I would say around the 3-month mark, which means that I have about another 5 or 6 weeks of adaptation, which is okay. I think I can live with that. I also want to make my Kalari pit at the back. If I have the energy, I want to do that this weekend. And it's so fascinating because I've always just like not been a person that thinks that much in advance about things. But because there's afternoon class, because we have 1 hour of short stick training, and then we also have 1 more hour of the same body conditioning as in the morning, but with a different teacher. And the class is more or less the same concept, the same warm-up, the same basic stances, the same leg swings, the same, but then the teacher like is creative about what kind of things they want to focus on in that class. So that because there's 2 hours of training in the afternoon, if I use all of my energy in the middle of the day doing things like gardening or building the Kalari pit at the back, or a lot of jobs around the house, or socializing all day, or any of those kind of things, or running errands all day, the afternoon classes are excruciating, just so difficult. So difficult with no energy. So I did it quite a few times actually, and then I also just like learned my lesson of it's better to conserve your energy in the day and actually have energy for the classes, so that you can first of all remember what you're doing in the short stick classes. You can try and remember the Vaitari, you can try and remember the sequences properly, you can actually spar properly and like not be completely half asleep, and actually have energy for the final class of the day. So that's been a new thing for me as a very extremely high energy extroverted person, to have to learn to manage my energy levels and not just be able to afford to do everything. Which also, on a little side tangent of that, has really made me so aware of what things are worth spending my energy on, what people are worth spending my energy on, what kind of activities, what kind of people do I stay in contact with, what kind of hobbies can I have, which at this stage is not many at all. What kind of like activities can I do outside of class? And because I used to always just have the energy to do everything, do you know what I mean? And life when I lived in Melbourne or Spain or any of those places would be just like one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, get up, go here, do this, do that workout, go for a run, go to work, then meet this person and do that, then meet that person for dinner, then go for a run when you get home, and then this, that, then go to sleep. And it would be like back to back to back to back to back things, and like back to back to back to back to back socializing. And any spare minute, any spare moment, any spare night I had was always filled with something. And I just didn't get why everyone didn't do that. Do you know what I mean? But now I can't. And so instead of just being very like frivolous about the things that I'm doing, I actually have to think like, will this cost me too much? Because my primary dedication is to the Kalari diploma. You know what I mean? I can't do anything that would jeopardize really my ability to go to class or my energy in the class, because I want to do it properly. I don't want to like half-ass any part of it. So I have to think like, is this worth it? Is it worth spending this energy on this thing? Or do I have to wait for another day? Do I have to do less things in the day? Do I have to make sure that I rest more if I'm going to do this thing? Which is just so completely fascinating, completely interesting. But I have learned that I'm just having so much less FOMO, which is such a nice feeling, because I feel so dedicated to this thing, this diploma, this practice, that now when there's other things that I could do, but I decide not to. In the past, I would have had extreme FOMO, but now I'm just not that bothered, which is such a nice feeling. Then I finished class at 6, the second class goes from 5 until 6. 2 of my friends actually came to their first class last night, it was so nice to have them in class. It was so fun. It was their first time. They did so well. Then after class, sometimes we go and get dosa afterwards, like spinach paneer dosa, which is delicious, and fast, which is important. Or sometimes I cook soba noodles here. I have bought a cast iron pan, which I'm completely obsessed with. So I make soba noodles on the side. On the pan, I cook some eggs, grated zucchini and grated beetroot, and then I put like grated cucumber and fresh capsicum, and I make a dressing with like toasted sesame oil and soy sauce and lime juice and honey, and put that on my soba noodles, and I eat that every night basically, which is so nice. I sometimes do a little bit of reading, and then I do a meditation in the evening, which is normally 15 or 20 minutes, depending how tired I am. And then I go to bed just absurdly early, like you can't imagine. 7:30 or 8 o'clock, which is ridiculous. There were a few nights that I went to bed later, like 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30 even, because I was reading the Mistborn series and I got carried away reading, but it's just, again, like not worth it the next day. I'm too tired, I can't focus in the class, my body feels too fatigued, I don't feel recovered, I don't enjoy myself, which of course I never want to do things that I'm not actually enjoying. So it's very, very, very important to me that I do the things that will lead to the outcome that I actually want. And like not so much be in this thing of instant gratification when it's going to cost me the next day, which is of course also like extremely valuable lessons for me. It's extreme, like this is really an up level for me, I think, like learning delayed gratification, learning prioritizing the thing that is actually meaningful, not getting distracted by things in the moment. I have a shower, and then, I'm normally in bed by 7:30, I would say. Between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. My Oura ring actually told me now it's like my suggested bedtime, and it tells me to start winding down is between 7 and 8 o'clock. So, and then I try to go to sleep as quickly as possible. Often I'm still like quite awake and activated from the classes, so sometimes it takes me a little while to fall asleep. And then my alarm goes off at 4 the next morning. So that's life doing a Kalari diploma. I'm still finding the balance. I would say actually that I have found quite a good balance. I'm just still waiting now for my body to adapt more to the training level so that I can have more energy outside of training. But I'm very happy actually. It's been about, it must be, what day is it? Tomorrow will be 7 weeks of the diploma, I think, which has gone so quickly. And I'm very happy with how everything's going, to be honest. I love my home here. I love how I'm feeling in the practice. I feel just struggling. Every class is difficult, but I'm getting so strong. I'm getting so much more balance, so much more flexibility, so much more focus, so much more, what's the word, like fire in my practice, so much, learning so many new things, especially with the sticks weapons. So that is a day in the life of the Kalari diploma. And do you know what's the cool thing? You can actually come and just also do it. That's what I did when I first came. It's what a lot of people do. Like, you can just come to Oroville or go to Kerala and you can just join the classes yourself. You can come to the morning class. You can come to the morning and afternoon class if you want like some sort of more intensive training. It's so nice. It's so much fun to just challenge your body in a completely different way, in a completely ancient practice. I think the ancient practices are the ones that have the most wisdom, the most life in them. So yeah, that's a day in my life. And of course, recording these podcast episodes, which is hopefully something I'm going to be doing much, much more of. So let me know what you want to hear more of. Let me know what intrigues you about this. Let me know if you want to come to Oroville and come to some Kalari classes. I think that would be so fun. Sending you all my love.